So it's basically a death sentence if these migrants are sent back to their original, hometown. All right. Several days after Nelson Espinal slipped across the U.S. southern border, he called his family back in Honduras from inside a U.S. detention center. "Tell Mom not to worry. I'm applying for asylum," Espinal, 28, told his sister Patricia, who recounted the December phone call with tears streaming down her son's scarred cheeks. "We must pray to God that they give it to me. I told them I can't go back to Honduras because if I go back, they're going to kill me." Espinal had made the 4,900-kilometer journey with several thousand others who joined the migrant caravan in October in the hopes of starting a new life. Within weeks of reaching the U.S., however, he was deported back to his gang-infested neighborhood in Honduras, in the Honduran capital, Tegucigalpa, and the death threats that had prompted him to flee. He resolved to try his luck again in the new year, head north, save his life, and find a way to help his family and provide for his 7-year-old son. But just over a week after his return, Nelson was shot dead on the streets outside his home on December 18, 2018. Damn, that sucks. No, I'm just like it's for real. Like I don't care about boo-hoo, dude. This is real shit. Like this is real. All right. Like obviously, yeah, they shouldn't be coming over here, but obviously it's bad that they're getting killed just because of making the journey. I mean, gang member or not, bro. Or you know what? Yeah, if they're gang members, well, you know what? They why'd they get in there? But then again, if we talk about that, it leads to a long discussion that they're forced into gangs. You know what I mean? Because of hoods. And you guys wouldn't understand. Honestly, you guys wouldn't understand, so I'm wasting my breath. Despite a recent drop in homicide rates in Honduras and neighboring countries, Espinal's murder is a sharp reminder that for many people in the region that the decision to migrate is one of life or death. A ruling last June by the then U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions made it all but impossible for victims of gang violence like Espinal to obtain asylum. And as a new migrant caravan prepares to set off from Honduras on Tuesday, more will probably suffer the same fate. Espinal lived with his parents, 4 sisters, and a son in a rough shack in the Jose Angel Ulloa neighborhood. High in the mountains that cup the city's center, the area is dominated by a notorious MS-13 gang. In the cities across Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala, gangs terrorize residents into submission and recruit young people by force or coercion, promising work for use and who have little prospect of finding formal employment, and threatening death for those who refuse. When they get their eye on someone, they search them out again. They search them out again and again, said Patricia Espinal. The gangs had tried to recruit her. Sorry, let me just pause right there. Why isn't Honduras doing anything, man? Like honestly, if Honduras needs help, then ask for it, right? Like if they need help with the gangs, then ask for it. Because it's because of this that they're having this problem, you know what I mean, that they're migrating all over here. And not only that, I also want to add that if they're migrating and, you know what, they don't have to go to the United States. They could be in Mexico and they could get lost. They could get a job and just, oh my goodness, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is a touchy subject and it involves a lot. It involves a lot to talk about, you know what I mean? But back to the story, the article. The gangs had tried to recruit her brother since he was a teenager, but he had steadfastly resisted. "They're asking if I want to work with him," she recalled him saying. "But I'd rather have rough hands from manual labor than join a gang." And that's good. That's the people that should be granted asylum. So when news broke out last October that a large group of migrants was planning to head north from the city of San Pedro Sula, Espinal and a pair of friends rushed to join the caravan, calculating that there would be safety in numbers. It was unprecedented for such a large number to set out together, and Espinal believes that the caravan offered the perfect opportunity to escape. In the end, however, the violence that has plagued Honduras for more than a decade proved inescapable. That's Espinal right there. According to Migdonia Ayestas, director of the Violence Observatory at the National Autonomous University in Honduras, more than 70 migrants have been murdered upon returning to the country in recent years. In a country as violent as Honduras, many of the people who are forced to migrate do so out of fear of violence, So when they are deported, it's essentially a death sentence, said Joaquin Mejia, a human rights lawyer, who added that the responsibility lay with the Honduran government exactly for its failure to guarantee the security of its citizens and the U.S. government for not fulfilling its human rights obligations. It's because it's true. U.S. has got so many people already. Like, honestly, it's... I'm not going to say nothing else. Due to the government shutdown, The Guardian was unable to reach U.S. Customs and Border Protection for comment. Homicide rates in Honduras peaked in 2011 at 86.5 for every 100,000 inhabitants and have since decreased to 43.6 for every 100,000 inhabitants in 2017, according to a violence observatory. But that still works out of more than 10 murders a day in a country with a population slightly larger than London, and is still the fourth highest rate in the Americas. Across the country are neighborhoods like Espinal where the threat of violence is omnipresent and everyone knows someone who has been murdered. In this neighborhood, they've killed tons of boys, said Espinal's mother, Sarah Matamoros, neighbors and friends. Men account for nearly 90% of homicide victims in Honduras. Those between the ages of 20 and 29, such as Espinal, were murdered at a rate of over 160 for every 100,000 inhabitants in 2017. But no population group escapes the bloodletting. Women make up a small percentage of victims, but the country's feminicide rate is among the world's highest. And in 2017, Honduras' child homicide rate was the highest in the world. Meanwhile, domestic and sexual violence is endemic, but according to the Center of Women's Rights in Tegucigalpa, remains largely unreported due to structural machismo, which means that these men, kind of like Mexico, they believe that they are the dominant, that women are second, and that women don't deserve rights, or women don't deserve to be treated equally. That is what machismo kind of means. Kind of, because there's a lot to add to there too, you know what I mean? Anyone that knows what machismo is can tell you what it is. But I just want to add that back to the article. Please don't migrate just because they fancy it, just because they are searching for a new life, a better economic situation. But also, the people migrate out of fear of violence, and that often is not understood by legislators or President Trump, said Ayestas. The Honduran government has relied heavily on hardline mano dura policies, tough laws, such as the creation of heavily armed military police, which has patrolled the streets since 2013 and hasn't done anything. Hasn't done nothing because they're probably corrupt like Mexico. The new National Anti-Gang Force regularly parades young men in front of the media with small stashes of marijuana or cash allegedly from extortion. But honestly, like the series El Chapo, the same MS-13 and gangs give that for the people, for the media, so they can have a curtain like, oh, we're doing good job, we're catching. It's all a lie. But the poverty, lack of opportunity, and family disintegration that prompt gang members to choose a life go unaddressed, sadly. Meanwhile, impunity rates are exceedingly high even for serious crimes, despite a reduced homicide rate. The terror endures. Bringing back peace is not just about lowering the homicide rate, said Ayestas, because there are other crimes and the public's perception of security which haven't improved. Ayestas and others argue that until Honduras feels secure in their homes and neighborhoods, they will continue to migrate. Here in this country, they just kill us, said Matamoros. They don't care about a family's pain. And it's true. Just like you guys don't care about the family's pain that when they go back, they get deported and they die like this guy, Espinal. And I'm not saying that all of you guys, I'm just saying certain of you guys that are just clouded. Your thoughts are clouded because you guys are so angry of what's going on at the border. And I understand, trust me, I do, but it's just messed up. We have to be humane. You know what I mean? Okay, back to story. The pain was clearly in the face of Espinal's son, Johan, who sat in the family home, staring blankly and clutching a toy car. Nelson bought it as a Christmas gift, but didn't survive long enough to give it to him. According to his family, Johan has already started talking about leaving home and heading north to escape. A young boy. Wow. So I hope this is an eye-opener. I hope this is an eye-opener for most of you guys, because it's just